Good evening and happy holidays. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news broadcasting live and on demand. We're available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. We are literally live and out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, FayWhat, and I'm filling in for Al Ferguson, who I'm hoping that he is just laying on a cruise with a couple of gay boys fanning him, having the time of his life. I love you, old man. I can't wait to see you next year. This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, unique in the LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
Happening Out Television Network is a 501c3 nonprofit media platform in the television and radio model of PBS and NPR, but designed for our LGBTQ plus community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 37 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
So let's begin by welcoming anchor and my brother from another mother, Paul Thomas. He is currently on the board of the LGBTQ plus advisory committee to the city of Miami Beach, a board member of Miami Beach Pride, on the board of directors for the Point Foundation. How did this man find time to just be him? And the endorsement committee for SAVE. He has over 30 years of experience in the healthcare and education field, specializing in AIDS, HIV treatments, as well as an activist advocate for marginalized communities. Locally, he works with many of our nonprofits and FQHCs, providing a wide range of services. Good evening and welcome back, Paul. Happy to see you, puppy.
Good evening, everybody, and happy holidays. Let's welcome Cindy Brown. She is an icon in the LGBTQ plus community. She was an early organizer of Miami AIDS Walk, the White Party for Care Resource, and other major events. She has served as the executive director of Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Chamber Foundation and LGBTQ Visitor Center. She's the founding executive director of Miami Beach Pride and currently serves as the program manager for Jewish Community Services LGBTQ Lambda Living Program for LGBT seniors. Good evening, Cindy. That's a mouthful.
Good evening and happy Hanukkah to all of those who are lighting candles tonight.
Yeah.
I love that. How many presents do you get during Hanukkah?
As many as you can.
I love that.
I think it's one a night.
Well, it depends.
It depends.
Unless you want to
Depends how good you've been, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's welcome anchor Jamaal L. Starks. Jamaal is a rare Miami native, also known affectionately as Porcelain. As a spiritual wellness consultant, he's an active member of the yogi community through the first and only Queer Yoga Club Miami. He's positioned as the vice president of Impulse Chapter Miami, a member of the ballroom community through House of Gorgeous Gucci, a professional background boasting a 16-year aviation career that led him to oversee the flight operations of 2 major airlines, and a 17-year HIV plus thriver. Awesome. He's dedicated himself to lead by example that Black queer individuals are inherently worthy of living safe, healthy, and abundantly thriving lives without social conditioning. Welcome, Jamaal.
Thank you, Cindy. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro. An inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame, Gregg is the author of 8 books, including his latest, Fear of Muses. An entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ+ and mainstream publications and websites. His movie review column called Screensaver can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Gregg.
Good evening, one and all, and happy winter solstice. Yeah. And if I may take a moment, I also want to talk about something very exciting. Coming
Is that who I think it
in
is?
January is this beautiful anthology called, let me say this, co-edited by Wilton Manor's very own Dustin Brookshire and Julie Blumke. And it will be out from Madville Publishing in January, and they're having a release reading event at Hagen Park on January 19th, which also happens to be Dolly's 77th birthday.
Oh my God.
And I have
I have to be there. I have to be there.
And I have a poem in here. So it's a beautiful book, great writers and everything. So
Awesome.
Anyway, that's it.
Congratulations.
Thank you for sharing,
Thank
Greg.
you. And we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. And this evening, we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Wednesday, December 21st, 2022.
Wow, Greg, you left me with such a warm feeling. I love Dolly Parton. I got my first set of fake boobs because of her. All right, let's begin queer news. We'll begin by queering up education. Granbury, Texas Superintendent under investigation after having school librarians pull LGBTQ plus books. The U.S. Education Department's Civil Rights Enforcement arm has launched an investigation into a North Texas school district whose superintendent was secretly recorded ordering librarians to remove LGBTQ plus themed library books. Education and legal experts say the federal probe of the Granbury Independent School District appears to be the first such investigation, explicitly tied to the nationwide movement to ban school library books dealing with sexuality and gender. The Education Department's Office for Civil Rights notified Granbury school officials on December 6th that it had opened the investigation following a July complaint by the ACLU, which accused the district of violating a federal law that prohibits discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender. The ACLU complaint was based largely on an investigation that revealed that Granbury Superintendent Jeremy Glenn instructed librarians to remove books dealing with sexual orientation and people who are transgender. According to a leaked recording of the meeting obtained, verified, and published exclusively by the news outlets, Glenn told librarians in January, quote, "I acknowledge that there are men that think they're women and that there are women that think they're men. I don't have any issues with what people want to believe, but there's no place for it in our libraries," end quote. Okay, I'm going to take a breath before I comment. Wow, Mr. Glenn, there's no space for that in libraries. I thought libraries were for education.
Exactly.
Amen.
And I don't think this was, and not that I don't think, I can almost guarantee that this is not the only time that this man has said horrible things about our community.
Right.
This is just the first time that somebody has recorded him and caught him in the act.
Well, three things. First, I am grateful to the ACLU for fighting the good fight,
Amen.
as they always do.
Yes.
Second, I also want to extend my gratitude to Texas for taking the pressure off of Florida for being the state with the most anti-LGBTQ detritus floating on the surface. And third, Jeremy Glenn should stick to cruising forest preserves and men's rooms for his kicks and leave libraries alone.
Wow.
Wow, you think he's in the closet?
Did you see that?
Yeah?
Did you see that puss?
Yeah.
That puss?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing when I was looking at the picture. I was like, oh, baby.
Let's say those who protest the most
Too much.
are, a lot of internalized
let's
homophobia
remember
there.
when you start removing books from libraries, that's a huge sign of fascism. Like,
Yes.
you don't remove books. You can debate an issue, but you don't remove
books.
You don't remove books. What are we talking about here? And I don't understand why people like this Glenn guy, who I've never seen before, why they think their personal opinion is so important that a library should have to take the step to remove books just based on this guy's uninformed opinion.
Yeah.
And also, the word public library, public.
That's everybody.
It's
Good
for
point, Cindy.
everybody.
Yeah.
And if you don't want it, go to your church library or a private
Start your own library, my friend.
Right?
You know, like
Public, everybody should
A
be
library is
represented.
supposed to offend. It's supposed to make you think. It's supposed to make
Yes,
you think.
completely. And it's also a safe space.
Exactly.
I remember being a kid and like before, we all know the teacher or the guidance counselor, right, that gave us hope, right?
Oh.
Well, before I met that person, I had the library, right?
Right.
The special interest aisle and the foreign stuff and whatever. And I would be able to sit there there. Me and Jamaal have spoken about this on the FayWhat show.
Right.
I'd be able to sit there Indian style, when I could still sit Indian style, right, with that book and just go, oh, wow, I'm not crazy. Oh, wow, I'm not thinking
alone.
crazy thoughts. I'm not alone. I'm not abnormal.
Right.
And you're going to take that opportunity from a child,
From a child.
You know, it's these people, and it frustrates me to no end. If they don't experience it, it doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
And you know,
And they're in positions of power. That's a terrifying.
Exactly.
And can we remember too, the libraries are the only free space available in America where you can just be.
Yeah.
Right,
Wow,
exactly.
Yep.
You can just, like you said, you can just walk in.
Right.
Nobody says anything.
It doesn't cost
It
you
doesn't
anything.
cost
It
you
doesn't cost you anything.
You don't have to have even a penny in your pocket.
Nope.
And you can be there all day.
All day.
Reading your book.
Exactly.
All
and
day.
being safe.
Okay, everybody at this table can remember a moment in time where they were unemployed and they had nowhere to be, right? You can be at the library no matter what, and now they're going to take that space away from us too.
And this is the same place that was on We're Here. Highlighted the first episode
really?
of season 3. This is the place where they were going to physically attack the drag queen.
Really?
Had to remove the programming for the reading of the books for
Really?
children because they were
Storyhour.
threatening to
I just don't
physically
understand
understand
why
either.
people.
I don't either. I don't
It's a
either.
lot of hate.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's queer up gay culture now. Biden becomes first president to honor Hanukkah with Menorah in the White House. This year, to celebrate the ancient Jewish festival of lights, the White House added a menorah to its holiday lineup for the first time. The 9-pronged candelabra was created by the executive residence carpentry shop out of wood removed from the building in the 1950s during a Truman-era renovation. Ooh, a mouthful there. The White House says it now sits in Cross Hall between portraits of former Presidents Jimmy Carter and Lyndon Johnson as part of this year's We Are the People themed holiday display. The White House welcomes roughly 50,000 visitors each holiday season, in addition to offering virtual tours of the decorations. President Joe Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden added the menorah to the permanent White House collection at a Hanukkah reception Monday evening, which was the first time a Jewish artifact has been added to the White House archives. At the reception, President Biden said, quote, "You know, to sell Hanukkah, previous administrations borrowed a menorah with special significance of survival, hope, and joy. This year, we thought it was important to celebrate Hanukkah with another message of significance. Permanence. Permanence," end quote. Various menorahs of special significance have been loaned to the White House over the years. In 2007, an event included the parents of murdered Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl and a menorah that had belonged to his great-grandfather. And in 2010, then President Barack Obama lit candles on a menorah that had been recovered from a Louisiana synagogue hit by Hurricane Katrina. I just think this is great. Now it's a permanent artifact in the White House. You know, it'll be lit year after year, and it will bring more light.
I don't know why I'm so surprised that it's the first time that there is one there. I am, you know, but I love the inclusivity.
Yeah,
I love the inclusivity, and I love Dr. Biden. Like, I think that she's wonderful, you know, I mean, and that's hard because I really loved Michelle Obama, right? Like, really, like I still dream about her and her arms snuggling me. Anyway, but you know, and then we think about like Melania and like how she killed all the roses and like how completely annihilated Christmas by making all the trees black. And it was just like, you know, this is a step in the right direction, right? And with all the anti-Semitic things that have happened in the world recently, and with folks like, you know, crazy Kanye, you know, like this says like, hey, Jewish folks, we stand with you. We see you.
And can you even imagine that Nazi schmuck Trump, even with a Jewish son-in-law, doing something this doing something similar to this, something with heart and
course
emotion?
not. No.
I love they put the menorah in between Carter and Johnson too, because
Democrats.
two guys that, well, and also two men that really signified that office in a way that we don't see anymore.
Yeah.
And they still do, even in their lives, long after in office.
Yes.
President Carter's an amazing icon,
Yep.
90-something years old.
And
I
he's
love
still
that it sits
busy.
there. Yeah,
Still busy.
yeah, I love that it sits there.
Serving the community.
And Faye, you have to remember that, what do they call him? The Mr. Vice President? What's
the
second gentleman.
the
Second
second gentleman? You know, he's the first Jewish person to be in.
Yeah.
in that.
Yes.
Doug
Really?
Emhoff.
I didn't know that.
Doug Emhoff. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
So it was a huge deal when he walked in with an Asian, you know, half Asian, half black wife.
Yeah.
A Jewish husband with a
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
There was
love
a lot of stuff was
Diversity.
happening.
We're marking off all the boxes in the White House now, baby. You guys-
And now we have a menorah.
and it's the people's house.
That's right.
The people's
Sure
house.
Could be.
As
Now
it
we'll
should
have a
be.
Kwanzaa next.
That's
Yeah.
right. Do it.
Why not? Why not? Okay, so let's queer up health. Oh, this one's going to be rough. 24 hospitals across the country targeted by hate for providing gender-affirming care. Healthcare providers in 21 states have been hurt by online harassment campaigns, according to the Human Rights Campaign. Some patients and families have been unable to get care. Bomb threats, harassment, disinformation. Children's hospitals have experienced all of these in recent months as they seek to provide gender-affirming care. According to the report published by the HRC Foundation on December 13th, between August and November, 24 hospitals and healthcare providers in 21 different states have been targeted in coordinated online harassment campaigns. Kelly Robinson, president of the Human Rights Campaign, said, quote, "This report confirms what we have suspected for some time. These dangerous accounts are playing a major role in causing harm to healthcare providers and patients," end quote. Adding to the problem, politicians seize on the false claims and repeat them to score points with constituents. Ugh. The Human Rights Commission said, some elected officials are going further. In some cases, healthcare providers are curbing services due to the threatened loss of funding. The University of Oklahoma Medical Center stopped some transgender health services for those under 18 after Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt threatened to withhold $108 million in aid. Such threats and actions impede care to all families. The Human Rights Campaign also released a video featuring Angela Gepford of Children's Minnesota, who talked about the attacks and threats aimed at doctors in pediatrics.
Pediatricians are pretty beloved. I mean, we're the people out there with, you know, the soft voices and the bow ties and, you know, smiles and pinwheels and things like that. And you don't go into pediatrics really expecting to be attacked for the care that you provide.
In recent weeks, several children's hospitals have become targets of far-right attacks.
The FBI has arrested a woman for making bomb threats to the Boston Children's Hospital.
A growing number of doctors say they are under threat from far-right activists because they care for transgender patients.
There's sometimes attacks on health systems, people contacting to complain or share comments that are threatening, like bodily harm should come to me for the care that I provide. It's shocking. It's just never something I thought would be part of my career.
Yeah, you know, this drives me absolutely crazy. Number one, because healthcare clinicians are only trained to help people.
They take an oath.
Well, we take an oath, but also that's all you know. Like, we don't know anything about politics, nor do we care.
Yeah.
We don't ask, when you come into the emergency room, nobody goes, what's your political party? Or like, do you believe in this? Or do you have a God? Like, those,
what do you need?
Exactly.
How can we save your life?
Literally, like, we don't even, those things never enter your mind. The other thing, and so for the clinicians stuck in, and I know many, in a position.
How long have you been in the healthcare field?
Over 30 years.
Okay.
And so people, just trying to do their jobs are now like afraid to
Yeah.
go to work and do that and save your life.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? It's
And
like,
save
do
your
we
life.
save their life or not save their life?
Yeah.
Like, what do we do
Isn't
here?
that crazy that now they have to question themselves if they should save somebody's life or not?
And what's even crazier is people's health and health care is a personal, private matter.
Right.
And who is anybody to make a decision? And this is across many issues.
Right.
To make a decision for somebody else based on an healthcare issue. It's beyond.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated with politicians being so involved in actually how healthcare works.
Yeah.
And people's
like that should be divided in some way. Like it should be.
They can ask for your guidance, but if you ask for their guidance, the American Psychiatric Association, like all of these medical associations say you should be giving transgender care, right?
Yep.
And then it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
And yet politicians somehow have this ability to overrule all of that.
Yeah.
And put
Overrule
people's lives
science.
at-
Overrule science.
Right.
Well, I remember.
Did you ever imagine we'd be living in a time when healthcare workers and librarians, their lives are at risk? I mean, come on.
Well, so I have many folks in my chosen family and regular family. You guys all know my wife is a nurse practitioner, and so we had she had the holiday party recently, and I sat around with a table full of nurses and doctors and people who save lives daily, right? And of course, we started talking about DeSantis. Is what you start talking about, right? And I really was expecting these people to say, "F him," and I'm going to do what I want to do, and I took an oath, blah blah blah. No, folks, these people are scared, and they really do feel that DeSantis will become president and then come after them for just giving gender-affirming care to people. I mean, so it's their livelihood, or or the fact that they just want to help people, right? Like, that should not be a choice that they have to make.
Absolutely.
And the more horrific part is that we have regular citizens trying to calling in bomb threats at healthcare facilities, at children's hospitals.
Right.
You talk about saving the children, but yet you want to bomb the children. This makes absolutely no damn sense.
No. Well, they don't make nothing.
And then the
is based
politicians
on
stand behind them by encouraging the rhetoric.
them. Yep. Opening the door for it.
Political points to put so many lives at risk. I just think something is beyond wrong with this. Like somebody needs to step in. And start to put some controls on these politicians.
Well,
Why? Because you're a politician, you get to just do what you want.
The only people that can put controls on politicians are politicians, so it's never going to happen.
Right.
And
Or the voters.
Or the voters.
We can vote them out.
That's exactly right.
yeah, but
I'm with you, Cindy.
yeah.
I'm with you, Cindy.
I mean,
We have to do something.
if they wanted to do it, they would have done it a long time ago.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, let's talk about something more better. Maybe something fun. Give me something fun, Jamaal. Give me something better. Please tell me that this next story is not as bad. It's just as bad, is it? Okay, just
Let's
go. Okay,
drag
just go.
culture. Drag story hour for disabled children in NYC stormed by protesters.
I told you something better, Jamaal.
Protesters trying to shut down a reading event geared toward neurodiverse children at a New York City public library branch were met by a wall of counter-protesters. The standoff over Drag Story Hour event, a popular national storytelling program where drag performers read children's books at libraries, schools, and bookstores, took place outside the Andrew High School Braille and Talking Book Library in Manhattan's Chelsea neighborhood on Saturday. The event was billed as, quote, story time with local drag performers adapted to be more accessible to kids with autism and other disabilities, end quote. Saturday's protest was just the latest in a string of standoffs across the country, from a fringe movement targeting drag events over unsubstantiated allegations of grooming. The group protesting on Saturday brought handmade signs covering a spectrum of issues, with messages protesting everything from fascism to grooming to gender identity. New York City Council member Eric Botcher shared images and videos online of the protesters. A representative of the New York Public Library said the event went on as planned and added that the library would continue to offer programs supporting diverse voices. The representative said, quote, this is particularly important at this moment when we are seeing a rise of hate and violence targeting LGBTQ plus communities, end quote. And here we go again.
I thought that, listen, I used to live in New York and I remember Chelsea being gay. What happened? Like, what happened?
It's not people from Chelsea.
No, it's not.
It's people coming in from Texas and Florida and, you know, other places around the country who don't share the values of people who live in Chelsea.
With their handmade signs with who knows how many spelling errors.
Exactly.
Because they've never actually been in the library.
But here we go. You know, you're talking about neurodiverse and disabled children. It's so hard
Kids with
for them
autism,
to
like, how
connect.
dare you?
And it's so hard for those kids to connect.
Yes.
And if they can connect with the drag queens because they're colorful and they're fun.
Yeah.
And now you want to take that away. I mean, I'm just so sick of the word grooming.
Me too. Me
I don't even want to say a dog groomer.
You know what? You know what I did think of, because you were saying let it be a better story, right? For some reason in my mind when you were reading the story, it popped up the visions of when Black people were trying to go to school in the 50s. People were yelling and screaming, and they were like violent and physical and threatening, and you know what, we got by that, right? And I love that the New York City library system said, we're going to continue to.
That's the good news in the story.
Right?
Right.
The library
And that's what we really have to do. We have to just keep moving forward because things will change, but not if we don't we have to keep.
We keep pushing.
Yeah.
Keep pushing. It happens at a snail's pace, but it has to be.
Yeah, I mean, the 50s weren't that long ago. Some of the things went on like in my lifetime, I've seen amazing, and I'm not that old. I mean, and so it's like a lot can happen in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Nothing happens if.
And let me tell you, New Yorkers are tough. Even a New York librarian
can mess you up. Say it.
That's right.
That's right.
And now we're going to queer up gaming. Trans gamer criticizes Hogwarts legacy, gets mocked by J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter books, is being criticized for mocking a trans woman advocating against Hogwarts legacy on Twitter. The issue surrounding Hogwarts legacy is that the game is an officially licensed Harry Potter project. As such, purchasing Hogwarts legacy directly financially benefits Rowling. While Rowling is already incredibly wealthy, she's also known to directly fund organizations that explicitly discriminate against trans people. She's even funded a sexual violence support charity in Scotland that will refuse service to trans women, despite trans women being significantly more at risk than cisgender women. The latest controversy surrounding Rowling stems from her response to a post from YouTuber and gamer Jesse Earl. Earl shared a thought on Twitter stating that current support of the Harry Potter franchise is harmful to trans people. Rowling responded on Twitter mockingly, equating Earl's stance to pure think and conjuring a hypothetical where, quote, the truly righteous wouldn't just burn their books and movies, but the local library, anything with an owl on it, and their own pet dogs. Hashtag do better, end quote. Earl is neither the first nor the most prominent person to share their thoughts regarding the ethics of continuing to support Rowling's work. You know, I'm surprised that Joanne Kathleen Rowling hasn't turned up in Proud Boys gear at a drag queen story hour or two.
That's next year.
Exactly.
I think she's afraid of encountering a drag queen dressed like her, only much hotter.
You know what's really sad about this whole story is that when the Harry Potter books came out, so many people who felt like outsiders
LGBTQ
or left
people.
out.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, not just LGBTQ people, but all the outsiders. So much identified with those characters, and to think that their creator is
a turf. She's a horrible person.
Gosh, it's horrible.
She's a horrible person. You know what I read today about her? It's interesting you have this story. There was an article I was reading. A woman said her daughter finished the third trilogy of the series and said her daughter's like 12. It said casually, that's the first time that two women spoke to each other in the whole series. And the mother went, what? And so she went online and she started to research. There's only one time in the whole trilogy where two female characters look at each other, acknowledge each other. And what it was the one character spoke and the other character said, shh.
Oh,
And that was it.
geez.
And that was the extent of two women. And so now I'm like, listening to this story, I'm going, she has an issue. Like,
For sure.
she has an underlying
Self-loathing.
issue.
Self-loathing.
And she wouldn't
Yeah,
pass
she's got an underlying issue.
She
I
wouldn't
can watch
pass-
it for free, so now I'm curious.
She wouldn't pass the Bechdel test, that's for sure.
Well, that was it. That's what they
Yeah,
put up.
right,
And they
of
said,
course.
Oh, it felt
Right.
whole trilogy from the Bechdel
Wow.
And what is this test that you speaketh of?
test about
So-
women's representation in film and
No, so they wouldn't have passed it at all. None of her books, none of her movies, none of
the
them.
whole.
The whole shebang.
She's an upholder
There's
of
like
patriarchy.
7.
Yes, she
There's
is.
like
She really
7
is.
books in
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
So, you know, but she,
Women only speak to each other once.
only once. You know, she must be self-loathing. But you know what makes a person that's depressed feel better? Lots and lots of money, and that's what she has. You know,
right.
and the reality is that all these LGBTQ plus folks supported her, buy her books, continue to do her gaming games. Right? If we would all stop and cancel her,
Right.
then she would be affected because it would affect her pocket. That would be the only way that she would even stop and rethink and maybe acknowledge us in one of her future projects. But I don't see that happening.
Hopefully her ego will devour her and she'll go into a pit of hell.
Ooh, I like it.
Okay.
That's how I be feeling about it most of the
All right. Tell us how you really how I really feel.
So next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International service at 10:30 a.m. with more than 30,000 watching every week.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm Al Ferguson, the lead anchor at Queer News Tonight. And at this time of the year, church can be a very difficult thing for the LGBTQ community. But not at Sunshine Cathedral. They embrace and endorse all of us and can make your holiday a lot brighter. And Sunshine Cathedral is a place for the holidays for the LGBTQ community. And that's why Sunshine Cathedral is #MyQueerChurch.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, or Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, FayWhat, and it's been honestly an honor and a privilege to sit at this table this whole year. I will see all of you next year, right, on Queer News Tonight. So on behalf of these LGBTQ plus anchors, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Paul Thomas, Cindy Brown, Gregg Shapiro, and the really handsome Jamaal L. Starks. We will see you daily at 8 p.m., and that means tomorrow. To our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you
Good night.
good night.